Welcome back to another TSTerra Plays Tera video. Today's video is going to be a part 1 of a 2-part video. And throughout the video, I'm going to give a shout out to Matey because Matey actually helped me with a few of the stuff. And I want to go over this because it's been a while since I've covered kind of leveling a class and, you know, so the first half of this video, or this video specifically, is gonna kind of go over leveling a class and some key tips to new players in general, while part 2 is gonna go over more for returning players or new players once they hit level 65 and go about what to do once you are 65, things to focus on, and all of that good stuff. So let's dive into it. The first thing obviously is going to be you're going to want to pick a race and kind of read through whatever races, the stuff that the races have. Each race has a slight little buff. So just to, you know, go off rip, Castonics get additional crit to back when attacking bosses from behind. Humans have their own passive that honestly I don't remember. Almons have a damage reduction passive that's not that strong anymore. High elves I believe get more mana, along with Proporis also get more mana. I'm not too sure what Barakas are. Honestly, it's something that, you know, you could go to the wiki, it's all there. And then Ellens, Ellens get a bad rap because I know a lot of people just despise the fact that they are, you know, Ellens. But personally, unless you're going crazy high DPS and the extra crit you get from Castonics isn't too much nowadays, the way the game works and all the changes, Ellens just have faster attack animations, which I think makes them smoother. You know, the playstyle smoother, but honestly, none of that really matters until you're running the hardest dungeons, and even then, it's kind of personal preference now. It's not too important what you play, just play something you enjoy if you're new. Go through and read all the classes, see which one you think would be the most fun. If you are brand new to the game, Reaper will be locked until you get your first character to, I want to say, 50, 55, or to 65, somewhere between there. And then once you get a character there, you can unlock the Reaper class. So to go over all the classes, Zerks are a DPS class and only a DPS class. They are high burst, very low sustain, so they're great for the beginning of the fight, not that great towards the middle end of fights until their burst is back up. Lancers are, or not Lancer, Slayer, I skipped Lancer, we'll get to Lancer. Slayers are DPS, overall they're a very decent sustained DPS, do not let burst DPS. They're not really a burst anymore. Their DPS is pretty sustained. Warrior we'll get to in a bit. That'll be the last one. Sorks are one of the 2 range DPS, and they are also, as of now, very more sustained. They do have a decent burst as well. Archers are definitely more sustained than Sorks. Their just damage is consistent throughout the whole fight. They have one big burst really, and that's about it. Again, they are the 2nd range class of all the classes. Reaper is kind of a mid-range. Reaper has a wild burst as well as a really high sustained DPS. Reaper might honestly be one of the top DPS in the game currently. Gunners, 3 ranged. I completely forgot about Gunner. I apologize to all Gunner players. Yeah, Gunners are really in a really good spot. I don't know how much their burst DPS is really burst, but if I recall, their damage is pretty sustained throughout the fight. I think they have one big burst skill now, and it's sustained. Ninjas is a very high sustained DPS. They're great throughout the whole fight. Their damage is very consistent. And then the last DPS class we'll go over is Valkyrie. Well, second to last. There's one more. Valkyrie is a very high burst, but now with all the changes since the start of the game, Valkyrie does very well in sustain as long as you don't stay in sustain. Basically what I mean by that is when you're using their buff skill, and you'll get into that as you play the game, there are skills that buff other skills. When you're using their buff skill, their DPS is crazy high. The quicker you build back to that buff skill, and you can build it very quickly, just increases their DPS more and more, so it's almost like they're bursting the whole time. Their sustain damage is okay, but the idea is to get all, rebuilt. And then the last DPS is Warrior. Now I left Warrior for last because they're actually a DPS and a tank. So Warrior has really no burst at all. They're strictly almost sustained. Now you can build Warrior to be a burst class, but again, that's more advanced Warrior guide stuff that I'll release in the future. Warrior is overall a great sustained DPS. It's a pretty solid class, and now since the beginning it's a lot easier class to play as a DPS. As far as tanking goes, I think Warrior is a solid tank. It is very middle of Lancer and Brawler. Their damage is really good as a tank, but they really don't give as much as Brawler and Lancers do give their team. So they're not really a supportive tank, they're just a damage tank. Brawler is the next damage tank. They give very little to their teammates. Warrior at least gives an attack speed buff. Brawler just gives 2 debuffs to the bosses, which is actually really good. It allows the shreds to be amazing. Overall, Brawler is a pretty easy class as well to play. It is probably the easiest tank of the 3 to play. Yeah, it's just a fun class, you punch things. And then the last tank is Lancer. Lancer is probably one of the hardest tanks in my opinion to play. Some people might argue Warrior is harder than Lancer, but again, I haven't played too much of Lancer. But from what I know, Lancer is challenging because you are trying to align your Lancer buffs to the team. Lancer does the least amount of damage, but it offers a ton of extra buffs, shields, all that great stuff to the team. So if you want to be a supportive tank, choose Lancer. If you want to be kind of a more autopilot tank, I'd pick Brawler. If you want to be a decent DPS tank that also gives a little buffs, play Warrior. The last 2 classes we haven't covered is Priest and Mystic. Priest is going to be your major healing class. Priest will res dead teammates, it heals, and it buffs your teammates. Priest is the higher healing class than Mystic, and what I mean by that, it is easier to heal a ton of damage on Priest than it is with Mystic, in my opinion. I haven't played too much Mystic, but from all Priest and Mystic maids I've spoke to, Priest has a much higher healing output than Mystic, because they just have more skills that are geared towards healing. While Mystic, on the other hand, has a bit more skills towards buffing their team. Their heals are a bit small, but Mystic does have a very good res, where they can just give someone a free res, and when you die you can get up. They don't have to go over to the person's body and pick them up like a Priest does. Mystic can apply that to themselves and to other people at a time. And with the way the game is now, you can actually build enough so that you can just keep applying that skill over and over and over again. A little broken, but so that is all the classes. I'm just gonna make a Valk, and we're gonna go over kind of small things and what to do when you first start the game. So go through the customizations, change whatever you want on your character. I am not going to change anything on this character because I don't have any intentions of playing this character. Therefore, I'm going to name it Tera.trash, just to remind me to eventually delete this character. When you make your first character, it's going to bring you back to the loading screen with all the characters, because you could technically make 2 characters when you are first starting. You have to get character slots throughout the game to be able to make more characters. So for you, your first character will be on the first screen. Select your character, select play. It's going to ask you to play the tutorial or skip it. If this is your first time playing an MMO, I suggest playing it. I'm going to skip it. Basically it goes over the basics of basics. I'm going to go over tips now for people who are leveling. I released a leveling guide years ago that I will link. If you want to watch it, you can. It goes over basically the whole pathing. That pathing has probably changed a bit and has been reduced the time significantly, and I mean significantly. You do not have to do as much dungeons as I had to do, and thank God. I will suggest the first tip, if you can, maybe grab 2 friends. If anything, grab 1 friend to play this game with you. If you can get 1 or 2 people to play with you from 0 to 65, it's a much better experience than playing by yourself. Now, it's not that you can't level by yourself, it's just more difficult. So, the first thing is going through, actually, the real first thing is, whenever there's a battle pass, go through the battle pass, look at the missions. There will be, stay logged on to Tera for 1 hour. After 1 hour, you're going to want to claim that. Some of these you might not be able to claim. A lot of them are going to be more towards end game. But if you can basically stay logged in for an hour, get 100 XP, I think you need 200 XP. So once you get up to reward 2 of the free battle pass, mind you, you can get this 500 XP booster for 3 hours. Activate that. Activate that immediately. Because not only is it 3 hours, but you get 3 of them for 9 hours. Having all 3 of these activated throughout you doing your Vanguard and dungeons is going to help push you to level 65. And this is something that Matey told me that I want to give him the shout out for, because this is amazing. This cuts down like that 24 to 48 hour time frame. Honestly, people who are really fast and used to doing it 12 hours, probably by a third. You could honestly probably spend 2 hours or 3 hours for 3 days and be level 65 just because of this. So once you have that, that's a big bonus of getting to 65. And really, all you have to do from there is talk to people, play through the quest line. If you get stuck, you can always come to your quest log, click on things, display quest markers, and it'll show where to go. Sometimes it's a little tricky, but this quest line is going to take you through this whole area, probably up here a little, and then over to Bastion of Lock, which would be your first dungeon. That's really where you're going to want other people to play with. Again, you can solo the dungeon, it just takes a bit more time. If you go in with a grouping of 3 to 5 people, then, you know, you'll get it. as well as, like I said, with the battle pass. I believe that dungeon should count for clear any dungeon 3 times, and it'll count for vanguards. So wherever it said get Vanguard Federation orders 3 times, you'll basically clear all 3 of these within your first hour of playing the character, probably. That, or honestly probably 30 minutes, I would say. So getting that after Bastion and Lock is really useful. Like I said, it'll cut down your time significantly. And that's really it. From here, you just level your character up to 65, run your dungeons. As you get new gear, equip the new gear. And the game's pretty decent at giving the UI instructions. I'm not really gonna go over any of that. Things to not worry about is anything like you could put crystals in. Crystals would help. Once you see crystal merchants, buy back damage crystals. Unless you're a tank, buy the ones that are front. Read through things. Don't worry about gems or stigmas until you're 65. You can use potions if you want. These 20 minor battle solutions will help you kill bosses, so save these until you get to a big boss or a trouble spot. The other thing I will highly suggest is read through your skills. Skills are important. Understanding what does damage. There are skills that go into skills. When you're first playing, just enjoy the class. Enjoy playing with the class, trying different skills. When you unlock glyphs, see skills that you're using more and feel free to put glyphs in. Eventually, when you hit 65 and you complete a specific quest line, that's where you're gonna want to start really looking into more what you're doing with your gear, where you're applying your skill points, and all of that stuff. But again, that will be covered in part 2. So this is the end for part 1. Get to level 65 and then come check out part 2. Or if you're a returning player and made it this far in the video, thank you. Come check out part 2 to see what you should do for your level 65 characters. So that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you're stuck throughout the quest line, ask me. I might be able to like troubleshoot it and figure out. Sometimes they're a little weird. Sometimes you have to enter spots that like the game just doesn't say, and the best way to do that is either ask someone in global or, you know, research the wiki. The wiki's not the best for this game, honestly, but again, you can always ask on this channel and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can with an answer that hopefully is helpful. Other than that, if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so, because over the course of the next month, my plan is to hopefully release a basic guide to every class in the game, finally. And yeah, that's about it. Have a wonderful day and or night, and thank you for watching.